So hello and welcome to the Positive Podcast. Today I have Dave Wilson with me from our mental health and wellbeing team. So thank you, Dave, for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
So we'll get straight ahead with the questions. So one of the first questions that we've got for you is, what advice would you give for maintaining wellbeing and self-care during the pandemic at the moment?
Yeah, so I think one of the top tips is just have a bit of structure in your day. It's very easy to kind of slow around and have a bit of a lie-in, and that is very nice on occasions. But it's best to maintain some kind of routine. So make sure you kind of plan to some extent what you're going to do the next day, how much time you're going to spend on your coursework, for example, how much time you're going to prepare food and do a bit of household cleaning. Make sure you get out for a bit of exercise, that kind of thing. But it doesn't have to be so rigid that if something unexpected just crops up, that you can't start adapting your day for that kind of whatever activity it might be. Somebody might want to invite you for a Zoom chat that you haven't seen for a while or something like that. So go for that.
Yeah, have a bit of a quick update, but still have a lazy Sunday.
Absolutely, and it's things like just trying to maintain and have a balanced diet. I think it's quite easy when you've got the fridge just around the corner from you to kind of just keep popping down and refrigerating, but just think carefully about what you're going to be eating to kind of maintain a good balanced diet, because again, balanced diet will really help with the rest of your day, give you the right kind of energy levels, etc., and help to kind of maintain your current weight as opposed to putting lots of weight on, etc.
I know that's been from working in the kitchen at the moment, from from home. But so, would you recommend maybe having a bit of a diary or a bit of structure in that way?
Yeah, so I mean, I think most of us will have access to either Outlook calendars or Google Mail calendars or an iCloud calendar, and maybe just kind of think a bit ahead about what you need to put in that diary, and it can then alert you on your phone or it can alert you on your laptop. And even little fun things like, you can maybe put an alert to say, go out and get away from your desk kind of thing, because it's very easy just to be staring over at a laptop or staring at a computer or staring at your phone or staring at a TV screen watching Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever else it might be, and flashing out on box sets. So do take a bit of a break from the screen, but let the screen help you remind you that to go out. So have these little Google alerts or an iCloud alert or an Outlook alert say, switch off your computer, go out for a walk. And even if it's just a walk around the block or a walk around the park, I live quite close to a cemetery, and I'm actually finding some nice peace and quiet time by just taking a quick walk around the cemetery, which takes me about 25 minutes. So things like that.
Yeah, very good. So the other question that we've got is, a lot of students, it's very similar to what we've just been talking about, but they are sort of struggling with that lack of routine. So if you've got a student that's particularly struggling with that lack of routine, is there something that you think, is there an app or something that they could access to help them with that?
It probably is, but if I'm off the top of my head, I can't think of one. But it's like I say, if an electronic calendar is pretty good for that kind of thing. You can even color code most calendars to kind of put colors in for when you should be working, when you should be having fun time, when you should be socializing, etc. A classic example for me is I've got friends all over the world who I see maybe once in a blue moon, but we've been joining up once a week on a Friday. Whoever can join in. It's not like it's dead informal. We have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a giggle, share pizza remotely almost, and and I've got that booked out in my diary. It shows up as I've got purple as socializing, randomly picked. So again, it just helps you kind of get a nice balance, because if you see red, which is when you're doing your coursework, you kind of think, oh god. So you make sure you can get a nice work-life balance in there.
Very good. So thinking a little bit about the mental health side and the impacts that it's had within the pandemic, what would you recommend to students who are finding this time particularly stressful and particularly difficult?
Yeah, so for some students, leaving campus and going back home has actually been beneficial. For some, it hasn't been so much. But do try and stay in touch with friends, whether they're at campus, whether they're around the corner, whatever. Obviously, bearing in mind social distancing, but you can do all of this through Skype or Zoom or WhatsApp or Facebook or wherever it might be. But just try and get the right kind of balance. And obviously, try and be as open and frank to your friends as much as possible. I'm sure you would hate to know that one of your friends is struggling really badly and is keeping it all to themselves. So, and your friends will be exactly the same about you. So don't be afraid to kind of just say, I'm having a really crap day today. I could do with a bit of support, a bit of help. And also equally, if you are struggling to make that connection, there are other ways. So there are things like Big White Wall the university has bought for staff and for students. Big White Wall is anonymous. You do need your student email account to access it. But once you've accessed it, you set up your own profile. The university gets some statistical data, i.e. we know that 12 students used it this week, but we don't know whether it's Joe Blogs or Jane Doe or whoever. We just know that it's a number. And Big White Wall is like an online peer-to-peer support system. And like I say, it's anonymous and you can go on there for all kinds of support. There's stuff on there about COVID-19 and lockdown. There's stuff on there about anxiety, depression, self-harm, you name it, it's on there. Relationship problems, etc., bereavement. But if you still want some thing a bit stronger than peer support, maybe some kind of formal counselling or psychotherapy, don't forget the University of Cumbria does have my team, which is the mental health and wellbeing team. We're still offering online support, whether it's through Skype or through telephone. Uptake's really high, but we do offer appointments usually within the first few days of you contacting us with a referral.
Do you think there's a bit of we were talking a little bit about Skype then and about communicating, but do you think there's a bit of the opposite where people are finding that actually they're doing all these Skypes in the daytime and it's actually quite tiresome and it's quite intense sometimes?
Absolutely, yeah, I completely agree. So one of the things that I encourage my staff to do is to make sure that they have at least 20 minutes between Skype appointments or Skype meetings or chatting with friends or whatever else, because you're right, when you're staring at a screen all day, whether you're Skyping, whether you're working on your essay, whether you're doing research for your next exam, etc., staring at your screen is quite tiring. So make sure you take some time away from your screen. And again, just when you kind of book out your time in your Outlook calendar or your iCloud calendar or whatever calendar you're using, make sure you're booking a bit of time to keep away from your screen. Obviously that's not always easy because sometimes people don't know what's in your diary, and if you've got one person making an appointment with you or a meeting with you and then it's followed by another chat meeting, then obviously you might have to say or negotiate a little bit of time with that person, say, hi, is it all right if I have about a 5-minute break before we start, or finish a bit early?
Go and put the kettle on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so my final question for you is, we're looking at kind of the positives and the things that people are really starting to see some positives out of lockdown, and whether that's spending time with family in the house or having more time to themselves. So from a personal or professional level, what positives do you think that we can take out of this when lockdown's ended?
I mean, so again, sometimes I kind of do as I say, don't do as I do kind of thing. But one of the things I'm always encouraging people to do is to do a bit more exercise. And that doesn't have to be like mega strenuous. You don't need to join the gym to try and get a six-pack, for example, or join the university's hockey team, for example. There are other means and ways. So it could be a bit of yoga, it could be a bit of Pilates, it could be just walking out in the park. So for me, for example, I used to be very much a fair weather cyclist, and I would use my bike maybe a handful of times a year, and now I'm making sure that I go out 2 or 3 times a week, and I feel so much better for it. Even if it's just like a few miles on my bike, I sleep like a log that night because I've burnt up more calories in the day than I would do normally. So, you know, just find something that you're interested in. It doesn't, like I say, it doesn't have to be mega stressful, it doesn't have to be competitive. Just find a little bit of exercise to incorporate into your day-to-day life, and I know I'm certainly going to continue that once lockdown's completely finished. And equally, as I kind of alluded to before, I'm in contact with friends all over the world that I can't believe we've never even thought. Skype's been around for donkey's years, and I can't believe we've never thought to kind of have Skype meetings or Zoom meetings before now, and it's and we're doing it regularly. Yeah. So it's great.
I think a lot of people are seeing a lot more of people in their lives now than maybe they did before. I think that's something that a lot of people are experiencing. But no, that draws us to the end of the Positive Podcast. So thank you very much, Dave.
Thank you, Zoe.
Here at the University of Cumbria. See you there.